You know, there are some questions in history that are just chilling to think about. This is one of them. It's a world that thankfully never came to be, but one that was maybe a little closer than we like to admit. So let's really dive in and explore what our world might look like if World War II had gone the other way. To even begin to answer the what, we have to tackle the how. I mean, how could Germany have possibly pulled it off? Well, when you look at how they actually lost, you see their path to defeat was littered with some truly massive, almost unbelievable mistakes.
So, to build a world where they win, we have to start by undoing the very blunders that made them lose in our timeline. We gotta reverse engineer their defeat.
Okay, so historically, Hitler made 3 blunders that were just catastrophic. First, attacking the Soviets right as that brutal Russian winter was rolling in. A rookie mistake, really. Second, after Dunkirk, he didn't press his advantage to finish off the British forces. He let them catch their breath. And third, and this one is a real head-scratcher, he declared war on the United States for basically no good strategic reason at all.
Now, just imagine a completely different timeline. A world where those critical mistakes don't happen. In fact, what if they were flipped into a smart winning strategy?
Let's picture this instead. Germany invades the USSR, but in the summer, when the weather is on their side. Then, they throw everything they have at Britain in a massive blitz before the Allies can even think about regrouping. And finally, instead of provoking the US, Germany actually makes a peace deal with them.
And the wildest part? This isn't just complete fantasy. It was actually doable. It's easy to forget that early in the war, a lot of the American public was strongly isolationist, and there were some strange pro-German sympathies floating around. You have to wonder what might have happened if things had played out just a little differently.
So, in this alternate reality, let's say they pull it off. Germany wins. The result? A new German Reich that would completely redraw the map of the entire world.
So, in our real timeline, this is the territory the Third Reich controlled at its peak. I mean, it's huge, but in the end, it was temporary. But in our hypothetical scenario, the borders wouldn't stop there.
No. They would just keep expanding to this. A sprawling, monstrous superstate stretching across all of Europe and deep into Russia, an empire bigger than almost anything in the modern world. But the big question is, could it actually last?
And that question gets at a timeless problem. See, when an empire gets that big, that fast, it starts planting the seeds of its own destruction. It's a fatal flaw we've seen again and again throughout history.
To figure out what would happen to this new Reich, we don't need a crystal ball. We just need to look at the past. History gives us a perfect blueprint for how massive empires, like this one, completely fall apart.
The comparison to the Roman Empire is just uncanny. They would share the exact same fatal flaw. They are simply too big to hold together. You've got too many different cultures, too many languages, too many people who are all forced under a single flag they never asked for.
You just can't. You can't slap your symbol on everyone's passport and just expect them to all get along. It doesn't work that way. Resistance and rebellion, they aren't just a possibility in a situation like this. They're an absolute certainty.
So what would that inevitable decay actually look like? Well, history shows us there's a pretty predictable cycle to how these things collapse.
So first, this massive empire would almost certainly split in two. You'd get an Eastern and a Western Reich, just like Rome did. One side might do okay for a while, but the other would start to rot from the inside out. And eventually, that rotten Reich falls apart. From those ashes, you'd see old nations and ethnic groups start to reform, reestablish their own countries, and start challenging the half that's still standing until that too loses its grip.
And at the end of the day, after all that bloodshed and conquest, Germany would find itself right back where it started. Its massive empire, built on a hypothetical victory, would have just crumbled away, leaving the map of Europe looking, well, surprisingly similar to how it began.
So ultimately, even in a world where they won, the final result would have been collapse. It really leaves you with a pretty haunting question, doesn't it? Is this the fate of all empires? Are they all just doomed to repeat the same cycle of rise and fall, no matter who's in charge?